Hey everyone, Pugs here with 2 new reviews for y'all. Today I'm covering Yours, Mine, and Mine and Cracked Krabs. Shit, I totally forgot about the first episode's existence. Y'all probably watched the end of my previous review where I was like, this might be it for the infamous Season 7 episodes, and started laughing because nope, clearly there is no gap here. I've gone from a Pal for Gary to Yours, Mine, and Mine, another infamous episode. And then obviously I'm also here reviewing Cracked Krabs, which, like Growth Spout and Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful and potentially The Inside Job, has the misfortune of being paired with an infamous episode, basically guaranteeing its obscurity. As always, thank you all for watching the video today. I love seeing y'all here, and now let's just get right into it. As I've already made pretty clear, Yours, Mine, and Mine is an infamous episode. Seems like Season 7 is really committed to shooting itself in the foot. Listen, I'm gonna be so honest with y'all right now. Whenever I think of this episode, I think of that reviewer. Y'all know the one, and I know, I shouldn't be bringing that guy into this discussion, but listen, I used to find his videos very entertaining, kinda. I still think they're funny now, but in a much different way. Anyway, all of this is besides the point. The point I'm making is that when I had to review this episode for the forum, it was in sore need of a rewatch because I remembered the reaction to this episode a lot more than the episode itself. And when I did rewatch this episode, like with other episodes in Season 7, this rewatch did not cause me to doubt the public opinion. I find myself agreeing in general with the popular view of this episode, although I'm much less angry about it. Yours, Mine, and Mine begins decently. Let's just say it's not funny, it's not boring, it's a secret third thing called It Exists. SpongeBob convincing Patrick to get the kiddie meal was probably the first bit of real entertainment for me because of that little $1 more throwaway part of the lines. In general, though, this scene is kinda like a combination of Krusty Krab training video and Pat No Pay to me. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, that's not why I'm saying this, I'm just noticing it. Then Patrick starts crying, and it's like, why did SpongeBob bring out the food before Patrick even paid? That's not how food service works. Obviously, I know that this is in service to the plot, but like, come on now. Anyway, this is the setup for this episode, as SpongeBob suggests that they buy the food together, which, given that Patrick has literally zero money, means that SpongeBob is the one buying it. Remember that. It takes about 2 seconds after SpongeBob suggests the idea for me to start getting annoyed. First off, I don't like how much this episode leans into the child side of the adult-child line, because why is SpongeBob teaching Patrick about sharing? But whatever, that's fine. The second reason I get annoyed is because Patrick immediately just takes SpongeBob's wallet and hands the money inside to Squidward. And I can immediately predict how this joke is going to resolve itself and how the episode is going to be moving forward. Patrick eats the whole patty without sharing it with SpongeBob, and I'm sitting here with a very blank face because this is predictable and not funny. And I really did like the joke with Mr. Krabs hearing money back and jumping out of his money bath for it, at least, so there is that. I love how Mr. Krabs turns this into a business opportunity too. And I also really liked how SpongeBob got all weird with the toy. It kind of felt like the writers of this episode making fun of To Love a Patty, especially with Mr. Krabs' reaction being like so many of ours at the time. SpongeBob has fun with the toy, and both his and my enjoyment are broken by Patrick being, well, when I originally wrote this review, I censored myself, but now I can pull a Grunkle Stan and say that Patrick is a fucking asshole here. Like, it's impressive how quickly Patrick is pissing me off here. And maybe it's because I'm still relatively fresh off Stuck in the Ringer, but my god, why is he so insufferable? The way he puts quotes around sharing is actually so infuriating because yes, Patrick, you're the one that already screwed up the sharing precedent by taking SpongeBob's money and then eating the entire meal on your own. And once again, to get the toy, SpongeBob used entirely his own money. The toy is his. This episode almost feels like a response to Waiting, with Patrick being a jackass about a toy as opposed to SpongeBob. But unlike that episode, Yours, Mine, and Mine does not make one of these characters a jerk with even the thinnest veneer of comedy. I'd take that episode over this one any day. And I didn't even like it. I have to give credit to Bill Fagerbakke, because either he read the script and decided I'm gonna make history by making Patrick sound so entirely smug and self-serving, or the directors told him what to do and he understood the assignment completely. Not only do Patrick's actions annoy me, but his voice is really the cherry on top, because the way he talks really just grinds my gears, and not because it's unpleasant, but because being an asshole, or a prick, one might say, is laced into his voice here. It's quite impressive from a technical standpoint. Yours, Mine, and Mine saw the card and decided it wanted to be even more annoying, because unlike that episode, Patrick here feels downright malicious. I also like how Gary clocked Patrick without even having to see him. Honestly, this interaction between SpongeBob and Gary is pretty funny and far more enjoyable than anything a pal for Gary had to offer. Sorry, I just had to get in that little lashing. And then I love how Gary appears again a minute later when Patrick's like, "You're off my friend list, Gary." I hate to steal a joke from that reviewer, but that really does explain a lot about Pet Sitter Pat. Anyway, back to Patrick. The way he literally tries to lie to SpongeBob to avoid giving SpongeBob his toy is just annoying, and not even remotely as funny as it was likely meant to be. The way he just refuses to give up the toy at all is extremely annoying, and I don't understand what's supposed to be funny here. I'll talk about the whole fight between SpongeBob and Patrick in a bit, but I'll just say right here that the end of this fight, with Patrick literally eating/destroying the toy because if he can't have it then no one can, is, I feel too exhausted to even fucking say annoying. Like, the ending little stinger of the episode, that was certainly a choice. A horrible choice, but a choice. At least Sandy had an appearance in this episode, but her appearance is completely wasted. First off, this appearance is an example of a major issue of Yours, Mine, and Mine, which is not calling out Patrick for his asshole behavior, and instead portraying this as a conflict caused by both SpongeBob and Patrick. I could get it if SpongeBob wasn't being reasonable, but he is, so now what? Also, how did Sandy not even notice SpongeBob and Patrick's lack of helmets? This little plot point is used to get SpongeBob and Patrick to leave the tree dome, but the way they leave, having learned absolutely nothing, renders the whole scene completely pointless. And then the extremely insulting line from SpongeBob about the mediator lady is just the cherry on top of how Sandy is completely wasted here. This line implies that SpongeBob and Patrick don't even know Sandy, which already doesn't make sense considering they went to her house screaming her name. Seriously, someone on the writing staff must dislike Sandy or something, because first it's someone's in the kitchen with Sandy, and now it's this. It also reeks of misogyny, which is a whole other conversation that I stand by. When you look beyond its infuriating nature, Yours, Mine, and Mine is honestly kind of boring. It's not really funny except for the moments that I already highlighted, and without having an enjoyment aspect, this episode feels dull otherwise. There's so many scenes that feel like they take too long, like Patrick dancing with the toy just feels slow for some reason, even though it was like 20 seconds long. It's very odd, and feels like season 6. The fight between SpongeBob and Patrick, like when SpongeBob goes to Patrick's house, not the part of the Krusty Krab, had real potential because it actually started decently. But once SpongeBob jumps off of Patrick's house, this potential is completely wiped away. Like, we really could have had the kind of banter and conflict from episodes like Battle of Bikini Bottom, or Sandcastles in the Sand, or Rockabye Bivalve, but nope, we just go to boring. The complete lack of attempts at dialogue humor really dragged this entire segment down. The only part I liked was when they went into Squidward's house and Squidward doesn't even bat an eye. Really, thinking of Yours, Mine, and Mine altogether now, the fact that literally everything except the main conflict in this episode was funny, or at least had moments of being funny, shows how this main conflict should have been changed or scrapped. Because you can't have only the peripheral things in an episode be entertaining. You just can't. And so, because of this writing misstep, and how irritating this episode is, and how boring it is otherwise, I've got no choice but to place this episode in my bad tier, where it comes in with a score of 3.5 out of 10. Hey, at least it's not the abysmal tier. I'll take this improvement. Kracked Krabs, an episode that has been so completely overshadowed by its sister. Many such cases as of late. Honestly, before I rewatched this episode, I couldn't remember very much about it. I guess by definition that means that this episode is forgettable, but for some reason that doesn't feel like the right word to me. Doubly so because this episode is actually really good, and so being forgettable is just such a shame. Once Kracked Krabs begins, I feel like I've been hit in the face with a flash grenade, because why is SpongeBob doing all of those weird movements from episodes like Boating Buddies or Porous Pockets? Please, none of that. I thought we left this shit behind in season 6. But this is really the only bad thing about these first couple of minutes. Well, okay, that and also these minutes are a bit slow, and the episode takes a little bit to really get rolling, but that's really not like a bad thing that happens. Eventually, things do pick up a bit once Mr. Krabs reveals that he's been nominated for the Cheapest Crab Award, as he should be. I really like this plot idea. I just think it's neat, and I really like that Mr. Krabs takes SpongeBob along with him for no actual reason. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob father-son crumbs strikes again, and I couldn't be happier. Seeing Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob interact in a different place than the Krusty Krab is already great, and so we get to see some excellent examples of their dynamic in this episode. After Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob arrive at the hotel, there's lots of fun little gags involving Mr. Krabs teaching SpongeBob all of the cheapskate tricks, which, okay, I gotta say, this is so fucking cute to me. Like, Mr. Krabs passing along his knowledge to SpongeBob. Ugh, that's his son? Ah! Okay, I'm done now. I just sometimes wish that they'd include Pearl and stuff like this because it really gets to a point of just giving misogyny after a while. Alright, I'll step off the soapbox now. So, I loved the cheapskate trick with the poor bellhop. I know that guy is ready to quit his job. Another thing I like in this episode are all of the neat designs of the other crabs. This episode reminds me a lot of Cephalopod Lodge, except there's more of a focus on the other crabs in this episode than there was on the squids and octopi in that episode. This episode also uses that weird Mr. Krabs coloring where he looks kind of pink, which doesn't really help now that all the crabs in this episode look pinkish and washed out. SpongeBob trying to do the crab laugh is hilarious, especially when you think of episodes like Gone where he does it perfectly. The examples of all the nominees' cheapness, presented like this is the Oscars or some shit, are really fun to watch. Although, I think this episode is confusing cheapness and greed, and this isn't surprising because this show confuses the two in general. Mr. Krabs also just has both traits, but this doesn't really matter when it comes to my own enjoyment of this episode, I just felt the need to point it out. I love how once Mr. Krabs has SpongeBob give a testimony to his cheapness, we know exactly where this is gonna go. I did enjoy Mr. Krabs trying to corrupt SpongeBob though, and I love how it ends up working in the end. The way SpongeBob completely says the wrong thing is hilarious, and I love everyone's reactions. Somehow, this episode makes Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob stealing their entire hotel room such a wholesome thing, both because it's a bonding activity for them, but also because it wins Mr. Krabs the award. And I love how we get a callback to the quarter gag from earlier. And then I love how Mr. Krabs just accidentally cuts off SpongeBob's hand. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Cracked Krabs. It's a simple episode in that way, and I feel like I've already made it clear what I love about this one. I just really enjoyed this episode and had a pretty good time watching it. And you know what? I needed that. I needed that a lot after all of this nonsense I've just had to review the last couple of weeks. And so, all of this is why this episode is landing in my amazing tier, where it comes in with a score of 9.3 out of 10. As always, I'll be ending this video with some closing thoughts of mine. Yeah, I don't know, this week, the week I write and record this script, was a busy one for me, and so these reviews may not have gotten the full makeover they needed, but it is what it is. With Cracked Crab, I do wonder what it would be like if these kinds of episodes started including Pearl for a change. I don't know, it's starting to get odd, especially when you think of how all the crabs at the awards ceremony were assumedly men. I don't like what I'm picking up here. It's just impossible to not notice these things. I guess that's just another thing to add to the list of misogynistic things that I've noticed in this show for the imaginary day that I finally go on that rant. It's fun to pretend like I'll do it. Okay, well, I'm rambling. Clearly I've got nothing to say, so I guess I'll just close things out here, and I'll see you all in the next review.